with the clarity of knowing what you want, why you want it. It's only with that clarity that you have direction in life. I mean, if you don't know what you want, you're merely a passenger, and the winds of chance are just steering you in whatever direction. You're like a sailboat without a rudder. I want you to take the wheel and get clear about what direction you're going to head in next. And in order to kick us off, I just want to share a story with you about what a profound process this framework is. So at the end of last year, our team went on a team retreat, and we went to this absolutely amazing retreat center. And when we, designed this offsite, there were just a couple of rules. First of all, absolutely no work, no talk about work, no phones, no laptops, no doing work. It was just 3 days for our team to be together, to unwind, to do yoga, to go in the sauna, to get a massage, to connect with your colleagues. It was absolutely extraordinary because we had been busting our rear ends on this podcast for over a year. We all lived in our bathrobes the entire time. It was so great. It wasn't even an HR violation to be with your colleagues in bathrobes at dinner. And it was the first time that we had ever done anything like this here at 143 Studios as a team. And after working on this podcast for a year and creating 104 episodes in 1 year, we needed it. Holy cow. And it was fantastic. And so this retreat center not only had like a spa and exercise classes and meditation stuff, but it had all these kinds of courses and sessions that you could do on all these different topics. And so my business partner, who also happens to be my sister-in-law, Christine, she is the chief financial officer and the chief operations officer of the company. And so Christine, who I've known for more than 2 decades, is almost like the opposite brain of me. This woman is a numbers gal. She is spreadsheets. She is very analytical and smart. She is super black and white. She is not into the touchy-feely stuff at all. And so she signs up to do this class that truly changed her life. Christine, you've agreed to come on reluctantly and talk about it. Like, tell me, what was the class?
So the class was manifesting.
Manifesting?
Manifesting. And so I'm thinking this is a nice, this will be something I can sit in the back of the room, just kind of listen to. I've already done cardio drumming and some nutritional cooking class. So this is going to be a listen and learn.
And so you walk in and what happens?
It's me and the instructor.
Just you and the instructor?
Just me and the instructor. And I'm like, oh, shit.
And once you walk in, you can't walk out.
You can't walk out. You're stuck. I walked in and she's excited to see somebody's shown up. And so I'm sitting there and she hands me kind of worksheet and we're waiting to see if somebody else is going to show up. Luckily, one other person walked in.
Okay.
And so then she's like, well, normally this is a presentation, but since it's such a small group, let's do some just kind of personal work. Let's talk about what you're here to talk about.
You were probably like,
yeah, I'm basically want to die. I'm like, I have no clear purpose that I've shown up for that I'm trying to realize. I'm just looking for something to do.
Okay, so it's you and one other person.
One other guy.
And now we're going to do deep work.
Now we're going to do deep work. I'm
okay. And so how does it start?
So basically we're both sitting there and the guy's like, okay, I'll go first. And so she's like, okay, what are you thinking about? And he was trying to sell a rental property he had. So very whatever. And the whole time I'm thinking, oh my God, what am I going to talk about? What am I going to talk about? I'm barely okay, he's still talking. I'm still thinking. I was just trying to come up with something. And so then she's like, okay, how about you?
What do you want?
What do you want? What's something you're trying to attract? And so I just kind of put out there, I'd love to have a place on the lake to get away with my family.
Okay.
And I'm thinking vision board, 20 something, my vision board of all these things that I wanted to have accomplished. And so not putting a whole lot into it, but just thinking that. And she's like, okay, why? And I'm like, well, I think it would be, it'd be fun. Of something my family and I can enjoy. And why? I'm like, "Well, my kids are in high school, they're gone a lot, they're, busy with sports and friends, and I don't see them as much as I used to." And she's like, "Well, why do you think a lake house will change that?" And I'm like, "Well, we're gonna get away, like, we'll be together, like, just." And then she's like, "Well, why? Like, do you need a lake house for that to happen?" And just was this very, like, personal thing of feeling like, time slipping away and feeling like I miss the amount of time we spent together when they were little. And and so it was just this very, this thing that seemed like flashy and very removed became like very personal and not at all what I had walked in there for. And it was a conversation around, she's like, "Well, they're still gonna leave, right?" And so I'm in tears now. And this thing that I, like, did was like, "Oh, this will be a fun way," and she's like, "Are you ready to do this now?" And I'm like, "Well, no, I'd have to, like, save up and it'd be a little while." She's like, "So they're definitely gone by the time, like, you're working for this house that, like, they're not even gonna enjoy, because by the time it comes to pass, they're gonna already be gone." And it was just really this realization of thinking about the time that we had together when they were younger and when we were, um, just, were their whole life revolved around our family, and that
Mm.
time had been a long time past. And, really came away from the whole thing just very kinda grateful for that realization, and had shared it with the team of just, like, because everyone was sharing, "What classes have you taken? What are you doing?" And just this realization of this thing that seemed like it was like this wish dream thing really wasn't what I wanted.
Mm.
It was that I wanted the time with the boys and that I could have that now. I just needed to ask him for it and make that a priority.
That's amazing.
Well, it was because it just is like you get so caught up, I think, in a lot of the things that are flashy or fun, and it's really not what it was all about. I think it was just for me, it was kind of a breakthrough and very emotional because, like you said, I'm not a, like, hugely reflective person that, like, puts, you know, um I'm very logical, and so to have this, like, breakdown in this class that I was not expecting or anticipating was just, it was a gut check for sure.
And life-changing.
Life-changing because I came back, like, I shared it with the team because we were sharing about all the classes that we had, and the fact that I'd started crying in this class was surprising to everyone who knew me from work. But I went home and I shared it with the boys and have made it a priority that we are making that time on a weekly basis to spend a little bit of time together, and that it's not the buildup for these big things, whether it's a trip or other things, like, it's really just the time at home, um, and enjoying it while I have them.
Yeah. The thing that struck me about that experience and you sharing it is that, first of all, a lot of times when you think you know what you want,
Yeah,
right? Which a lake house makes a lot of sense because you have friends that have a lake house and the boys love going up there with their friends. And so it makes sense to be like, oh, we need one of those too. And I want one of those. And you kind of paint the picture. And when you go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and you get to the root cause of why, oftentimes the thing that you want is right in front of your face. And the irony is that if you just stay at the surface and you chase that thing, you would have spent so much time working trying to save the money for it
yeah,
and been so busy. Like, let's just say you could even put a down payment. Then it would be about the renovation or the painting or the this or the that, that you would miss all the time while they're still home.
right.
And so I got a lot out of that too, because I do find myself kind of waiting for those big moments. And I, like you, am very aware of the time that's passing and want to maximize the amount of time that I have when the kids are right in front of me. Beautiful. How is that realization of truly getting to the core of what you want changed how you live your day-to-day life?
Well, I think part of it was I came home and I said, "This is important to me." I've been honest with them of just saying, like, "I miss the time that we used to spend together, and I know your lives are, busy and bigger, and your world is much larger and will continue to get larger." but I need some time while you're here. Whether it's driver's ed or doing those right, like, I don't complain about those things at all. I'm just enjoying it while I have it. And I've got great kids. I'm so proud of them. And I think part of it too, or I'd like to think it, that when I shared the like, hey, I miss the time that we spent together, I think they've missed it too. I mean, because I think it's been able to put it out there, and then for us to just be much more intentional. And then it's also easy for them to be like, "Oh, my mom's making me do this," like, like Sunday, not so fun day kinda deal. But I think it's just, been something that I think's been good for all of us.
Do you still want a lake house?
It'd be nice, but it's nice, but it's not the point anymore.
I know you sharing this is going to resonate with millions of people that listen.
Yeah.
Other than saying it out loud to your family,
Mhm.
is there anything else you put in place to make sure that you stay moving in this direction?
Well, I think it's just prioritizing it. Like, at the end of the day, it's just what is really important to me, and so as much as a lake house would be nice or, some fancy things, like, at the end of the day, it's really just the time with the people that you love, and appreciating that while it's there.
One thing that's really struck me is how hard it can be to simply know what you want. I mean, let me ask you right now, what do you really want?